Hi, everyone. Hi, I hope everybody's great. Let's wait a couple minutes for some people to get here. The energy is so big. It's going to get really, really big. And we're going to talk about this full moon in Capricorn and what it means for you and what it means for all of us. So let's just wait a couple of minutes. Who's here with me? Go get a drink. Go get a drink and get comfy and sit back with me. We're going to talk about this. I've got my COVID style on for you. And I want to know, I think my chat is on. I think you can chat me. Did you go see my last video on the, about the 4th of July and how we have 6 eclipses right now? Hi. How we have 6 eclipses and it's just crazy making, isn't it? I'm going to turn my little lights on for us just because it's a little sweeter. Dun, dun, dun. I'm in my COVID outfit for you. Woo! Yeah, Saturn's back in Capricorn and it's going to stay back there for a while. And it's retrograding. So all the planets are retrograde, practically. Let me look this up for you. So Saturn is crazy because it doesn't go direct until about the last day of September 2020. And when Saturn is retrograde, it brings in a really different kind of energy. Did you guys get to watch my last video that I just posted on Sunday? Absolutely, mom with kids. By the way, hello. I don't know what your name is, but Mom with Kids says, hopefully those of us who have been doing the work get the reward. Yeah, that's true because Saturn is the planet of karma. And so it is true. And the work means like people who are sort of facing life with truth, right? And hold on one second. I'm going to close my door. Are you guys all piled on top of each other at your house like I am? Oh my God. This is like my little tiny sanctuary. And I mean, it's just nonstop. We're just all piled up on top of each other. It's crazy making, isn't it? We're all inside of each other's conversations. And I'm positive they don't want to be in my conversation. They're tired of me. Not really. I'm very loved and I feel loved, but I'm just saying that, yeah, it's Mercury's problem. I'm sure they don't want to hear about this transit one more time because they've heard my readings all day long. I have a really large astrology practice, and so I'm doing readings for people in need or crisis, or their lives are feeling like they're coming unhinged. And so I'm doing that all day long. So my family is well aware of what we're sitting on. So, hi, Cincinnati, Ohio, Gemini rising, Libra sun 8 degrees, Cancer moon at 24 degrees. Wow. Okay, Daphne, that's no small thing. Hi, Vince. Hi, everybody. Okay, so what I was saying, I want to talk to you. We have enough people. We have enough people now. I didn't want to, be really repetitive, but what I want to talk to you about is the 4th of July, and it's starting right now. Today's a really hard day, and I don't know if you guys are following me on Instagram, but if you're not, please go follow me because I do dailies over there. So I'm Soul_Navigation, and I posted a clip today from a video that I did in March of 2020. And I made a prediction about July 2nd, which is today. I don't know where you're calling in from or where you're listening in from, but over here in Seattle, Washington, it's July 2nd. And I posted that clip and I found it really interesting because March to April to May to June, it was like 4 months ago. And I talked about how on July 2nd, you are going to see a massive resurgence of coronavirus. And we're sitting over here just like dumbfounded. Now, Texas, good old Texas, has put on a statewide ban around you can't leave the house without a mask. And they're just flipping out, they're just flipped out over there. And in New York, they're finding they're actually like knocking on doors for people who have had contact, who you've had contact with, if they believe you have coronavirus. So never in the wildest dreams or ideas would Americans see their lives look like it looks. I mean, this is like so far away from what most Americans would deem as their values. Americans do not like wearing masks. They do not like covering their face. They do not want to have, government officials knocking on their door saying, "Who have you been in contact with? And we believe we saw you at a party." It's just crazy, massively crazy. So I predicted some of this. I predicted a lot of it. Like if you really do go watch all my videos about the transits, I predicted a lot of it. And if you just saw my last video where I said this year we're having 6 eclipses and it's changing our world forever, like our destinies are being changed. Our fate is being changed. We were going down this pathway and now our fate is jumping the train track and it's going in a big U-turn. So if you haven't watched that video, oh my gosh, please, please, please go watch that. I have got to tell you about it. It is so fascinating. What I did was, we're having this massive eclipse. We only have 2 more this year after this one. We usually get 3 eclipses in a year, maybe 4. This year, we're getting 6. 6. And we are on our 4th one. So we've already had 3 of them. What do eclipses do? They bring in massive karmic change. They are destiny fault lines. If you know about the San Andreas fault line that goes through San Francisco, and all the way down California, the coast of California, that's a fault line in the world and goes all the way up here. There's another fault line up here in Washington, but it creates massive plate tectonic destruction and it restructures itself. So it's like our world has this massive crumble to it in order for us to transform, to rebuild it differently. So what I'm saying is we're standing in this energy right now, and it is exact on the 4th. And the last time we had it was on the 20th of June and the 5th of June. And that was that was in a fire sign, that was in Gemini Sag. And then what do you know? Every single major American city and then some burnt down with rioters, right? And that was on the last eclipse. So this is massive energy. But we are now in the energy, back in the energy, I should say, of Capricorn Cancer. So it's going to show up way more at a personal level. The last eclipse that we had, June 5th and June 20th, were fiery, right? Aw, thanks, Joe. So what I did today, you guys, is I put this clip on Instagram that I want you to go see, Soul_Navigation. Come follow me, because then it's easier over there. It's an easier format. And I want you to watch that because I talk about what is July 2nd. But I want to tell you, because I've got it right here, and I wish to God I could show you the chart. Here's the chart for, is this July 2nd or is this the 4th of July? Oh, this is the 4th of July. So the 4th of July is when we have the eclipse exact, but July 2nd is really, really challenging because, you guys, we have Saturn retrograding back through Capricorn, but it's at that 29th degree. So Saturn has retrograded to the 29th degree. So it was out there at 1 degree Aquarius, and now it's going backwards. So I don't know if you can see it. I think it's going to be really, really bad. I probably have to turn my light off for you to see it. Shoot. Can't see it. I wish I could share screen with you, but I don't think I can. Okay. So yeah, Vince says Vince says, oh my God, so true. Today has been so challenging, such a crazy day today. Oh, he's in Europe time zone. Yeah. So let me just tell you what's going on. So we have Capricorn at 29 degrees. We have Pluto at 24 degrees. We have Jupiter at 23 degrees, all retrograde. So when it's retrograde, nothing's really working properly. We also have Neptune retrograde, and we have sprung into Aries and Mars. And Aries and Mars is on Chiron. So Aries and Mars feels like it's the wounded warrior. Wounded Chiron warrior. So there's a fight. Like, we're sort of raging for a fight right now. You watch, there is going to be a fight in the United States when government officials start knocking on doors. Listen, I'm not saying politically what I believe in. I'm just saying I know people. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, we saw you at a party and we believe you tested positive for corona. Can we please look at your medical records? Oh yeah, like that's going to go down well. It is going to be a shit show. It's going to be a shit show. Get ready. So especially in these really red states, it's going to be a shit show. Anyways, we have all this energy in retrograde. And of course, you already know that Mercury is in retrograde, right? So we have Mercury, we have Neptune, we have Jupiter, we have Pluto, and we have Saturn all in retrograde with a massive, massive lunar eclipse on America's birthday, July 4th, in Cancer and Capricorn. So that's the mommy daddy signs. And that's the authority and me sign, authority, Capricorn, and Cancer, myself, because it's ruled by the moon. And we have the moon sandwiched right here next to Pluto and Jupiter on the 4th of July. So there is going to be a Pluto, Moon, Jupiter aspect. Let's pick them apart together. The moon is the heart. The moon is, think of the heart, think of the deepest part of your soul, is sitting in opposition to the sun and Mercury in retrograde. So Mercury in retrograde right now is like false information, false news. And it's like angry news, bad news, because I wish I could show you this gosh darn chart. I show it to you in my video that I just posted on Sunday, but I want you to try. I know not everybody is, an expert at astrology, but just try to go with me. Cancer, Mercury is at 7 degrees Cancer, and it sits in challenge aspect to Mars, which is at 4 degrees Aries. So if you have these degrees or these signs in your chart, I am talking to you. Mars, remember, is sitting right now on our collective wound, and it's an angry aspect with our communication planet. So people are saying mean things, saying bad things, spewing lies, spewing hate, spewing Mars type energy. And because Mercury is retrograde and Mars is on the wound, it's like not nice. It's not nice. So people don't want to get in alignment, their physicality, wear a mask. They don't want to get in alignment with Mercury, with what people are saying to do. So it's like a massive rebellion. People don't want to wear a mask. People don't want to stay in. People want to go out. You watch, there are going to be so many idiots out there, like in massive gatherings for 4th of July. You just watch it. And they're going to be in states like Texas and Ohio and Louisiana and Alabama and Georgia and Florida and maybe some places in California. It's going to be messy. I can just tell by this chart. And then we have the sun. Oh, no, what I was going to tell you is think about this. Pluto is death. Pluto is loss. Pluto is where you're losing or where you have so much fear that you will lose. So wherever Pluto is in your chart, you're looking down the barrel of a gun, scared, wherever that is in your chart. I'm not saying it comes true for you. I'm not saying that they're even real fears, but it is a psychological wound inside of you that F's with your mind. So if you have Pluto in the second house, you have issues around self-worth, self-esteem, and money. And you probably live in a chronic fear around security, money, self-worth. Okay, that's just an example. So let's go to this lunar eclipse on the 4th of July. Where is Pluto? It's next to the moon. What's happening to the moon? It's a full moon. You know, full moons when werewolves come out. It's an eclipse. You know the saying, don't get married on an eclipse. It's true. It's next to this moon. So you have loss, death, ultimately transformation. But first we have to get the loss and the death of what? The moon, the heart. So we have heartbreak. We have a death of the heart, or you could just say soul. Death of the soul. Now Jupiter is right there too. What does Jupiter do? It makes it go real, real big, like 13,300 times the size of Earth big. It exaggerates Pluto. It exaggerates the moon. So you literally are going to see massive exodus. You're literally going to see thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people get debilitated or die. It's so hard sometimes to do this work and see this stuff. It's really hard. If you guys have 13 degrees, Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn as an ascendant, or one of your planets is on 13 degrees. So that means if you are basically born on the 4th. Is anybody here born on April 4th, October 4th, July 4th, or January 4th? Or do you have 4 degrees rising in one of those signs? Because if you do, if you're born on the 4th, October 4th, okay, so this is Caroline. And Caroline, where do you live? Are you in the United States? Okay, and feels with me, January 4th. Me, where do you live? If you live in the United States, I'm a little more worried about you. If you live in Europe, or if you live in, Guatemala, I'm not as worried. Now, that's not because you're safe there and you're not safe here. It's because, like my last video that I did, I took the United States birth chart. And so basically the transits in the United States along with on our birthday are very hard and very painful. Like, we're going to get massive bad news. And I'm so sorry. Do I sound like just an utter jerk being this like amped up about it? I just want you to be prepared, and I don't want you to go out on just any old invitation you get. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is this invitation worth it? Let me tell you 2 things. First, Feels with me says she lives in New York. Okay. Of all places, I'm going to say, I think New York rocks right now. I mean, if you can't be in Seattle, I'd want to be in New York. So that's pretty good, but I still don't go out in big gatherings. And Caroline's in Maine. Okay. Just don't go out in a big gathering right now. You guys have to hunker down in New York and Maine. You got to hunker down. So thanks, Michael. He said, thanks for the truth. Yeah. I kind of feel like if we know the truth, we can, I just got chills. We can if we know the truth, we can work with it. But if we don't know the truth, which by the way is happening, you're going to hear 1,000 lies. You have to be your own like truth seeker, because half of the stuff that you hear is not going to be the truth, because Mercury's in retrograde and it's in this funky aspect. And now Neptune just went retrograde. All our planets are retrograde. But I do want to say, well, November 4th is a weird day. And I believe November 3rd is election day. So November 4th is going to be a mess. But I really did say October 7th. You'll see that the United States election will be stolen. It will be stolen. There will be voter suppression. There will be people banging on doors to get into voting places. They will make it so damn difficult to vote in liberal cities and states. It's going to be awful. But hopefully there will be enough people that care that even with, I don't know, 40% of the election being stolen, hopefully there's enough votes to make it like, to create more unity. If we could get a president that say, I don't know, 60% or 75%, or hell, let's just fantasize 80% of the people wanted, we could probably start to heal and unify as a country and as a world. Because I think the United States' toxicity, tell me those who are not Americans or living in the United States, don't you think that the toxicity here in the United States like leaks out into the world like a bad oil spill? That's how I feel about it. I feel like when we're not good or right, that it just leaks out, and it's just disgusting and it's embarrassing and it's just ugh. Hold on, let me just see. Oh, good. I want you to read my Aquarius rising video. That's good. Oh, I love you, Jordan. Oh, that's my Jordan. I'm sending him a hug to Australia. He says, yes, 110%. America is such an influential country. Hi, Eamon. Oh, I have all my happy hour people. So you guys, I don't have a next happy hour yet. I'm going to pick one. I'm going to move my happy hours to once a month. And I'm going to reformat them a little bit. And I want you guys to come. So I have a lot of people who go to my happy hours on here, and I just love them. And they've become really great friends. And trust me, when I'm back to traveling around the world, I'm going to all your houses. Mm-hmm. I'm meeting Jordan for a beer in Australia somewhere. I don't know where yet, though. In Connecticut, Stacy L says, is that my Stacy? Is that my Stacy Lyon, Stacy? I don't know. Stacy L. In Connecticut, they say they've already sent absentee ballots to anyone who can vote vote that way, and is encouraging it. But I'm choosing to go in person. That's my Stacy. This is my Stacy. I love her. You're going to go in person. Wow. Why? Why don't you want it? Because you want your vote. Why would you choose to go in person over mail-in ballot? I don't know. Yeah, and Dubai, Eamon, you're going to take me out to some fancy restaurant, like fancier than fancy, because we should. You guys are so cute. So you guys, I want to do a little plug on Stacy L here. Everybody say hi to her. We are partnering together. We are creating a collaboration, and she makes the most unbelievable essential oil blends. And we are creating a new moon manifestation ritual bundle where you will get the most beautiful, gorgeous, highly sourced stone and essential oil to bathe it in, and put it under the new moon to help you in your manifestation. Yeah, everybody say hi to Stacy. She is such a gift and she's such a blessing. And she's creating a Soulnavigation new moon manifestation crystal bundle. It's going to be, I know, I'm so excited. I'm getting my Soulnavigation store built. And also I should say here, so everybody pour some love on Stacy because she's working hard. But over there in Connecticut, she's in Connecticut and I'm in Seattle, but we're soul sisters. But what else was I going to say to you? Oh, thanks, Kitty. She says, I can't wait for the new moon bundle. It's going to be phenomenal. I saw the crystals yesterday and they are so gorgeous. Oh, I was just in ecstasy. I was like, wow, just through the screen, they made my heart raise, my vibration rose. So tonight, what you can do is you can prepare for this full moon by doing really high vibrational work, saying your prayers and putting Vanessa, I need this bundle. I know. And we'll have a different crystal for every single new moon. So you can buy all 12, or you can buy just your own, or you can buy the new moon that you most resonate with, or the crystal that you most resonate with. It's going to be wonderful. And we're going to make it affordable so everybody can afford it. But what I was going to say is that it's at this time right now that you want to work with really healing crystals and stones, and you want to go into prayer and meditation and maybe even rub your worry stone. Look at my crystals right here. Oh my gosh. Look at my crystals. I have so many beautiful crystals. So this one, I don't know if you can see it, but it is just to die for. And I don't have this in my new moon manifestation bundle with Stacy, but this is so gorgeous. I don't know if you can see it. Look at the grooves on it. Can you see it? It's just incredible. And it's very healing. And it's called Bismol, like Pepto-Bismol. It's absolutely beautiful. And I like the rough stones. I don't know if you can see it, but this is rough quartz. Look at that sparkle. Oh my God. So beautiful. So I work with, this is Bismol. It sounds like dismal, but it's Bismol. And it actually grows in the ground with those layers. That's not sculpted. Those layers, those thin layers, they look like dental floss. Those thin layers are like a carbon that is created, and it's grown like that in sort of like an oil type sludge. Isn't that interesting? And so this is for really grounding energy. So when I get too amped up and too big, and I get too too much in my fire, I ground with this one. And the clear quartz is really good because you can really channel with this one and receive messages. So right now is a good time to work with your healing crystals. And I don't usually do a full moon ritual, but I would wear a rose quartz right now or another crystal. I didn't wear mine today, but I usually have one, and it's a protection crystal. So it's really good, especially for the full moon. Now, when the moon and Pluto, does anybody here have the moon and Pluto connected together in your chart, like right next to each other? Because that's this energy, and it's very intense and it's very transformative. So we're going to see. Oh, hi, remaining members. Hi. That's good. She says she keeps a rose quartz near her bed, and it's really good to hold it right before you fall asleep. Because the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, we're in this really, really volatile time. You're going to see in the world this Pluto moon aspect, and it's not just Pluto moon. It's Pluto moon, Jupiter, so it's going to be exaggerated, opposing the sun with what makes an eclipse the nodal axis. So the north node and the south node are right there on the sun and the moon. So Jordan says, my mom's moon is exactly opposite to Pluto. Yeah, that's painful. There was emotional heartbreak in her life at a very deep level, and it cut, it amputated, it severed. Pluto moon is never easy, and it is a psychological wound that needs a lot of work to heal it. So we are standing in an obliteration of something massive, probably our economy. And I think we're going to see not a lot of people survive it. And I mean emotionally, psychologically, financially, and biologically, physically. So we're going to see the heartbreak and the fallout and the pain, the agony, and the suffering. And I think you're going to see those numbers just skyrocket, those COVID numbers skyrocket on a daily basis. Because with Mercury in retrograde in this wonky aspect to Mars, people don't believe that what they're hearing about the coronavirus is even true. They don't even believe it. They think it's some hoax or some pretend thing to get rid of our president of the United States. You know, I think he can get rid of, I think he's doing a good enough job all by himself to get rid of himself that he doesn't need coronavirus to do it for him. I mean, he's doing it his own self. He sabotages his own self every single day. Jess writes, I have Jupiter opposite Pluto in my chart. I have the moon in the same house as Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter opposing Pluto there's an exaggerated Pluto in your life. And Pluto, this is my favorite book on Pluto, the Book of Pluto, just for light reading. I've just been reading this for light reading in between client sessions. Pluto is intense. So this is a great book. It's Stephen's book, if you want to get it, Stephen Forrest. He's an evolutionary astrologer. I hope you guys know him. His work is brilliant. He's one of my teachers in life, and I've learned a lot from him, and I love him dearly. But if you haven't seen my video, have you guys all gotten to go see my last video? What I do is I tell you that, it really was just, I don't know. I got on there and I just kind of riffed. But one of the things I did is I went back in time. Tell me if you saw it. I went back in time to when are the last times that we had this particular eclipse. Now, eclipses come around, I think, like in 9-year increments. So I think every 18 years or so. I have to go back and look. I got to go look at the trajectory of the eclipses, but I think it's every 18 years that you get the same eclipse. So I went back in time, and I went back and I looked at when we had this exact eclipse, and this Cancer Capricorn eclipse. And I found out that massive, massive, massive changes happened when this eclipse occurred in the past. For example, one of the things I found out was that in 1944, I believe it is, the Allied forces invaded Normandy, and it became the demise of Hitler. And I mean, Hitler chased a dummy army that they, they sort of catfished him. And he chased this dummy army, so it left him vulnerable. And then the Allied forces, the Americans, the Europeans, Australians, Canadians, they toppled Hitler, and it was his last breath. And so we're standing in some demise like that. Also, it's when John F. Kennedy was assassinated under this eclipse, and that was in 1963. And then in 2001, this eclipse ushered in 9/11. And so I go into that in that last video, and it was just, utterly heartbreaking and fascinating. I'm just reading some of your comments. So Elena says, my moon is in Capricorn. Well, this is very tender. You guys, if you have Cancer or Capricorn or Libra or Aries right around 13 degrees, I might say any degree of the sign, because 10 degrees before or 10 degrees after. So that's 3 degrees to 23 degrees. It's basically almost the whole entire sign. This is going to affect you. You're really going to feel this. And so you have to be very tender with yourself and take this really, really, really serious. Take this time really serious. Square up your money, your job, your work, your health. Don't take chances. My little daughter wants to know if she can order food. Mom, I'm hungry. Trapped up here in my room in the dungeon. She's cute. She's super cute. I'm sure she can hear me. Yeah, she wants food, Mom, food. Okay, so Daphne, this is a big deal for you. And you guys, this is a big deal for me too, because this sits in my chart in a really harsh way, in a very painful way. And I stepped into a really big tragedy the last time, like on the first eclipse of the year, right around that 12th of January that I talked about. And if you guys didn't watch that video, you should watch that video too, where I say January 12th. And I actually predict coronavirus in it. I didn't know I was predicting it, but I did. And I actually also predicted in that video the Black Lives Matter movement. And that was my video titled January 12th, massive lunar eclipse, your life will forever change, or something like that. And so on that, I had my moon in a very hard aspect to that eclipse. And that ushered in the death of a very beloved 20-year-old friend of mine who was like a daughter to me. And I couldn't even produce any work on here for like 3.5, 4 weeks. I couldn't even talk. So I feel nervous about this eclipse too. And Daphne said, I lost my cat in this last one. And in June, my friend died. And Daphne is the one with the Libra sun at 8 degrees and the moon at 24. So it's horrible. So Daphne, hold on. You're being very challenged right now and tested right now. And it's about fate. And when you can suffer through a loss, it builds new things inside of you, coping mechanism. Believe me, I know, because I just lost my 20-year-old friend. She was actually only 19, and her birthday was just day before yesterday, but she wasn't here to see her 20th birthday. And I loved her dearly. I saw her every single week of my life for the last 7 years. And I still expect my doorbell to ring and her to show up with a big hug. She didn't. So are you asking me, Jess, or are you asking Daphne? So anyways, if you guys have this eclipse happening prominently in your chart, I just want you to be me, okay? Well, I'll tell you offline. I don't really talk about my chart too much because I want you to see the chart. I want you to see the life through your lens, not through my rising sign. I want you to see it through your astrological lens. Well, Kim, I know you. Hi, Kim. I love you. Kim says, how do I know if I have this in my chart? Well, I already know. Don't you have a Cancer moon? I think you have a Cancer moon. So this sits on your heart. And you have me, so I can go look you up for sure. But so the remedy, what the remedy is, it sounds really funny because it's so simple that it's hard. And that is right at this particular moment in time, don't take unnecessary risks or risks that feel even the slightest bit dangerous. And it's sort of like, think of yourself, this is the remedy. Think of yourself as ice skating. And if you were ice skating, how reckless would you really be? You wouldn't. You'd wear knee pads or elbow pad. Heck, if you're not even good at it, you'd probably wear a little helmet. You'd go slow. You'd stay close to the wall. You wouldn't take big risks. And, you would be smart about things. And you would also be probably conscientious and kind to strangers and neighbors, especially if you saw somebody else struggling on skates, or if you were struggling. You wouldn't be probably hot dogging it, trying to knock people over, right? So it's this really high level of thoughtfulness that needs to be ushered in, and we need to slow way down, and we need to be willing to develop relationships with ourselves. So it's not the time to party. It's not the time to go out to a big crowd without a mask and go party. That's a sure way to like maybe die. I don't want you to be one of the numbers. And I think you're going to see that life is very overwhelming, especially if you're in a service industry job, because you got to wear your mask and that's uncomfortable. You have to serve other people all day long. That's uncomfortable. You have to learn new protocols, new ways of doing things. And if you're not in a service industry job, you're lucky enough to be, I don't know, say in IT or something at home. That's awesome. So it's developing a loving relationship with self. And thank you, Kim. She said, grateful for all your sharing, insight, and knowledge. Jumped on late and we'll be back to watch the full video after. Awesome. Yeah, go back and watch this whole video if you guys want to. Let's see. Clean says, I'm a Capricorn rising and my South Node is there along with Mars. So I'm really curious how these energies are going to play out. Well, that means you have Cancer in your 7th house. So this is happening in the 1st house and the 7th house, and that's you and your relationships. So you need to take care of your loved ones. Somebody in your life probably needs taking care of or needs something. So what I want to say is not to be totally afraid, okay? I don't even live in a fear, but I do live with a really high level, an extraordinarily high level of conscientiousness and thoughtfulness. So I'll give you an example. So this aspect is happening right on my daughter's sun sign, her soul, literally right smack dab, right? So the fact that this is happening on my moon sign and it's happening on her sun sign, you could imagine that I probably feel like a paranoid freak. And I do, but I'm not afraid of it like living, living where I feel like death is lurking around every corner. No. But she wants to go to the lake for her birthday, right? And this is right in the eclipse. And I'm like, sure, we can go do that. We have to still celebrate. We still have to live life. But here's where I'll change it a little bit. First, we're only going to bring 2 friends, not 10 friends. Second, we're going to get a paddleboard for every person so you don't share, right? And that's going to cost me a little more money. Worth it. It is her birthday. And I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to leave. And I might have left before. Now I'm going to be there so I can just be a second set of eyes, watch the cell phones, be there if they need anything, right? And I'm going to take the day off to facilitate that from top to bottom. And we're going to do it with social distancing. And of course, you got to wear your mask and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going with caution. And I'm going so I can kind of orchestrate that the rules sort of stay in place. So that's kind of what I mean by that. Live with thoughtfulness and with caution. Hi, Alexandra. I love having you here. Daphne says, I just lost my serving job, cashier job a month ago due to the virus. Yeah. God, I'm so sorry. Jess says, you're a great mom. Thank you. I try hard. It's one of the things I try really hard. I'm on the 12th of July. What should I do? Sun in Cancer. This is bonus Jen. Stay in. Take care of the people that you really, really love. Wear a mask. Where do you live? Bonus. I know we've talked before. I can't remember. Are you in the United States? If you're in the United States, it's a harder transit. Yeah, Daphne, of course. And a life jacket. They will wear life jackets. They have to. It's mandatory where you rent these little paddle boards. They don't even let you. Oh, you're in London? Okay. Yeah, well, I think it's going to surge there too. Is there a resurgence there? Because I feel like, what is London? Okay, how do I ask this? I think I just want England's birthday, not the UK? Who can find out what month? I just need the month, the day, and the year that England was born. So if you want to know what your life or how this will affect you, you need to know how it will affect the city, the town, or the country that you live in, right? So if I was living in Thailand right now, this would affect me differently than living where I do in the United States. So if anybody can find out for me and just post it here, what is England's birthday? I might be able to do it in my head. But when you're born on the 12th of July, if you're born 10 days before or 10 days after the 4th day of July, of April, of October, or of January, the remedy, no, it's not just those people. It's just those people are bullseye. They're on the front line. They're boots on the ground. England was born July 12th. Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. I was like, I just felt Cancer energy. And it's interesting because, you know, the United States was born from England. And I felt like that's why we're twins with England, you know, and the English. And so it is equal. What you see in the United States, you will also simultaneously see in England. And what you see in England, you will simultaneously see in the United States. We are like Siamese twins. I know the year is different, 927 AD. God, that's great. But they're July 12th and the United States is July 4th. That's why it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. That's why we get Donald Trump and they get Boris Johnson. It's like the same person. It's like crazy. So are they not born July 12th? Farah says the UK is Capricorn. Oh, the United Kingdom, not just England. Yeah, I just want to know England. I just wanted to know England because Bonus is from London. When this video replays, will you guys get to see the questions and the people or no? Do all the questions show? Oh, yeah, Bonus says England has his birthday, or he has England's birthday. So go back and rewatch this whole video, and what I say about the United States, it's the same with England. I just don't know all the different you know, I don't know the red state, the red cities and the blue cities. You know, I don't know the Tories and I don't know the politics. I don't know how to speak about it intelligently. But you're going to see this coronavirus, and you're going to see this Black Lives Matter movement here not go away. And as a matter of fact, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And quite frankly, the Black Lives Matter movement needs to, because it's, you know, we're still seeing the level of violence. There needs to be a reform in place. And so this is bringing it in. So what I would say to you, if you're born near the 4th of those months, and to everybody, because everybody does matter, or if your moon sign or your Pluto or your Jupiter or your rising sign or your Venus or your Mars, some prominent planet is at that 13 degrees, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, or Libra, this is about having a high level of consciousness, a high level of thoughtfulness, and truly being kind. And because it's in this Cancerian energy, it's about love. And it's not about superficial love. So I can love you and pour you a cup of tea, and that's love, right? Or you can come over to my house and we can grill some steaks. Maybe that's not love because it's steaks. So we'll like grill vegetables together outside, and we'll drink wine, and that's love, right? That's awesome. So that's kind of like the barbecue at 4th of July. And that's not really going to remedy this. This kind of love is the deepest, most visceral kind of love that a human being is capable of. I'll say it this way. It's kind of like the way a dog loves its owner. This is deep love. This is vulnerable love. This is where I show myself to you. This is where I say to you, do you know who you are to me? Do you know how much I care about you? Do you know your worth and your value in my life? And when I come from that place, you don't even need a bottle of wine, a barbecue, or my back porch. You don't need anything, because the gift of that vulnerability, of that intimacy, of that love, of that exchange is so potent. It's so powerful. It heals you. So that's what we're being asked to stand in. And so what we have to do is we have to have a wound that is so massive, a 9/11 wound, September 11th, 2001. We have to have a wound that is so visceral, that completely topples us, that crumbles us so badly, that when we do gasp for air, it's kindness that comes out, not entitlement, not arrogance. And so get intimate, get vulnerable, get real, get honest. Go over to somebody's house, not dressed up, wearing a mask, looking not great. And yeah, bring a gift, bring a bottle of champagne, yippee yahoo, that's fine. That's not really what they need right now. People need a higher level of intimate connection to know that they matter, to know that they're of value. People are losing their jobs, and so they feel like, who am I? I'm not even worth anything. The world isn't even paying me, to show up for a job. And this is going to make people suffer. We're having a collective spiritual awakening. And well, you're so welcome. I'm reading those comments. So one thing I did want to say is that's the remedy. And I know just because you're studying this work, you believe in, you probably already are doing that. Why is this happening? Why is there a crumbling of society, if you will, at a global level? Look at Hong Kong. Is there anybody? I never see Hong Kong on here. I wonder if they're even allowed to, tap into YouTube. But if there's anybody from Hong Kong on here, I want you to let me know, because my heart just breaks for Hong Kong. It just utterly breaks. I feel like they live in a country that is a prison, and it is just so sad. It's really sad. And so when I talk about social structures being torn down, I really do mean at a global level. I don't just mean here in, Seattle, Washington, or United States. I mean literally everywhere. I saw the news on Guatemala, and then I think Colombia. Anyways, it was in South America and Brazil, and how they're dealing with the coronavirus. And I don't remember which country it was, but bodies were just in the streets with a sheet over them, from coronavirus. It's just heartbreaking. They don't have a system in place that can react and help people at the massive level that this requires. And it's heartbreaking. Imagine if that was your father. Imagine if that was your sister. Imagine if that was your baby. It just, and then I can't remember where I read this article. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the country, but they had to live with the dead relative's body in their home and put it outside in the grass because they had nowhere to take it. And this was happening everywhere in these poor communities. Just utterly breaks my heart. And so why is this happening at this level? I really believe it's to usher us into the fifth dimension. I really believe it's to get us out of our corrupt and toxic materialism. And I believe that it is to expose the toxicity in our life that creates cancer, emotionally, mentally, and literally physically. So when we're exposing this cancer, if you will, really the only way to create unification, the only way to create a unified remedy where we all get on board. Wouldn't it be lovely if we all just were like, yeah, I'll wear a mask, of course. I respect you, you respect me. You know, how hard is it? But no, people want their rights. So we have to create some sort of structural breakdown that is so massive and so big that it cannot be denied. And now, with the blessing and the curse of the iPhone and technology, we're being tricked. Half of us are being tricked and duped, and we're following the dummy army, right? Like I said on D-Day, how the Allied forces created a dummy army, and Hitler sent all his men in to go chase the dummy army while the Allies then took over Germany. So that's what's happening. So we've got this fake news going on. So we chase the fake news. So it creates a divided consensus. There is no consensus. And the people who don't believe will kill the people who do believe. So it's a life and death situation now, and it's real. And only a certain amount believe it, and the other amount doesn't. So what happens? A crisis has to happen, and this is where we're standing right now, plate tectonics. A crisis has to happen at such a magnitude of a level that we, through the process of it, and it is an intense process, we become unified. And at the end of the day, we all can clearly see collectively there is a large enough consensus that you and I are really one. And if I treated you like you were me, I'd be nicer to you, right? I do actually believe that. So I do try to be that. But let's just say I'm just the average person. If I really did believe that you came from me, or I came from you, or both, would I want to kill you? Would I want to hurt you? Would I want to blow up your house? Would I want to put a gun in your face? No. And so I think that is a piece of the fifth dimension that, unfortunately, I think I'm 53 years old. Am I 52 or 53? I think I'm 53. And I think in December, I'll be 54. So it's not going to happen in my lifetime. But what can I do is the people that are younger than me. So this is another piece of the remedy. The people that are younger than me, I can share my wisdom. I can talk to them. I can pass the torch on. So to my daughter, I want to teach her and tell her to continue the journey, continue the learning and the teachings and the lessons, and activate them in your life, because she's got a much longer life than me. It can happen in her lifetime. So passing the torch on to people that are younger than you is critical. If you're not a mentor right now, a mentor of love, a mentor of healing, a mentor of some sort of talent, craft, or skill, and if you're not passing your talent on to somebody younger than you, I don't care if it's playing the flute. It doesn't matter. You need to. That's a part of this remedy. Teach what you have inside to somebody younger, because we need those people when we're gone. We need those people to continue this thing that is starting right now in 2020. We need them to continue the work on, because it can't be done in one lifetime. It can't be done in one lifetime. I want to go on a side note really quickly, okay? Because this is kind of a cool thing that happened. Astrology has a DNA in it, and it's weird, and I know it's crazy, but it has a DNA in it. And your astrology is oftentimes, your astrological story is oftentimes a very similar blueprint as one of your parents. And when you do sort of like a family tree, but you do it in astrology, it gets really, really interesting. So when you look at your mother's wound and your father's wound through an astrological lens, you can see that their parents had it too, and so on and so on and so on and so on. That's why racists breed other racists. Yeah, it's something passed down. So whatever your wound is, it probably trickled down, and then all of a sudden you'll see, if you go back far enough, you'll see that that wound stops in someone's chart, and you'll see that a different wound is born. So I call that person the triage person. So I'll give it to you this way. When I have a client that has experienced or suffered from male or female sexual abuse, I go and I start building out the family tree. And I see if I can see the patterns of sexual abuse in either one of their parents. I usually can. And I ask them about it, and they tell me, oh, yeah, they confirm it. And so then I go look at the grandparents' charts, and I see sexual abuse in those charts too. So I go back until we don't have the information anymore. But oftentimes I find that either my client or their child doesn't have, how do I say this, doesn't continue the wound of the sexual abuse. Like they're the triage person. The wound gets cured there, or the wound becomes healed with that person. Oftentimes it's my client. Sometimes it's their child. So yeah, there's trauma. Jess asks, family trauma stories, karma passed on, right? Because and she says, are there any markers in the chart for that? Yeah, that's one of the things I do. I study this. So, in my own chart, I want to pass the torch on, just like I used sexual trauma as one example, just because that is a very common wound that I work on with my clients. But I want to pass the torch of my gifts, not my wounds. And so think about this time like this. Think about this for a moment. Like we pass on our wounds unknowingly or knowing, right now, pass on your gifts. Pay it forward with love. Pay it forward with your gifts, your skills, and your talent. So are you giving your treasures away? Are you sharing your light with others who are younger than you, who are going to live with this problem that we're seeing right now longer than you will? Because it probably will get healed in lifetimes to come. And if you're standing in your 30s, it might not get healed with your generation. I think it's going to take this really young generation. These 14-year-olds right now, these little teens, 12, 13, 14, 15, even 16, even up through senior year in high school, most of these kids have a much more loving outlook about people. They just do. They don't even judge. In my daughter's grade, it doesn't matter if you have whatever kind of family. There's no stigma and there's no judgment in it. Now, I live in a really liberal part of town. I'm not living in Flower, Texas or anything. So I'm in a liberal part of town, and you might be a liberal-minded or an open-minded person in a more rural or conservative place. That's kind of a hard life to live, but wouldn't it be cool if you were the light? Wouldn't it be cool if you were the light of love and you could pass that down and start changing that area? If you live in a town that's plagued with the systemic racism that we see, it's really, really horrible. I think it's pretty much everywhere. So Caroline says, I've spent my whole life transforming the perpetual damage of my family. You're the triage soul. You're the soul that probably has a very heavy karmic chart, and you're here as the triage, and you're going to create a new trajectory. I went and I looked at my ancestry.com, and I saw that not my whole family, but a whole section of my family came to the United States from England through only one person. Only one person. Can you believe? I'm like, I have so much Italian in me. I was so excited about that. But how my family got to the United States was really through the courage of only one person. And it was this guy named George. And I saw the ship that he sailed on and all this. And he brought over his housekeeper. So it was him, his wife, 2 children, and their housekeeper. And they all landed in Ontario, Canada. And then from there, the same family, immigrated into the United States. And so why do I tell you this personal story? Well, it's because that man, that one man, all my other relatives from all the other lineages did not immigrate here. So it's just interesting. So this one guy shared his gifts, and I was so touched by him because how thoughtful he brought his housekeeper. Now, maybe that was selfish, but I want to go look at, what life did she create? And so it took so much guts and so much courage in the early 1800s to get on a boat and change out your whole life and move away from your 5 brothers who were all bankers and tailors, and to go to the wild, wild west and take a leap of faith. So what's interesting about that is DNA that you'll find. That I can find everybody's birthday. So I'm doing everybody's astrological chart. And he's a maverick. He's got all this Aquarius energy in him, right? Like he went rogue. And so I'm telling you this story, not so much about to talk about myself, but to share with you about when you share your gifts, when you share your courage. Maybe he was running away from trauma in his family, and he was the triage person, and he went and created a new life. When you're that person, you create a whole new revolution inside your own family. That takes a lot of energy, but that man had a very, very karmic life. What I wouldn't give to know him, and I celebrate him. I don't even know him. His name is George. I celebrate him and his courage all the time. And we're connected to our ancestors. And so that's a piece of this remedy. Be willing to be courageous, be willing to love big, be kind to others. I like that he helped his housekeeper get a new life. She probably had a really hard life. And I like to imagine that he was giving her a gift. It's really, really cool. So who can you give a gift of life to? Who can you lend your light to? Who can you share your talents with? Doesn't even matter if it's the Starbucks barista. It's like lead with love. Oh, Greg asks, any other Pisces risings here? God, I love Pisces risings. They're so sensitive. Blaze says, but I feel depression and toxic mentality is really the major thing with the younger generation. Oh, you know what I think about that, Blaze? Blaze says, but I feel depression and toxic mentality is really a major thing with the younger generation. Okay, this is what I think it is. I think that with the news and with technology, and with the vast amounts of information that they are overloaded and they have to plug out. They have to unplug. Sorry. They have to like really manage the level, the amount of information that they're bombarded with. And I think I think they're susceptible to that and prone to that. And so having human relationships and getting kids to disconnect from computers and really do like old fashioned fun, board games, a game of horse or pig out with a basketball and a basketball hoop, or a nature walk, or right, or listening to old music. I make my kid listen to my old school music because I want her to know it's nostalgic, and unplugging from their social media pressure is, I really think it's social media and it's technology that creates the depression. Ironically, it's also so helpful, but it creates the depression. So again, the remedy is sharing that vulnerability from within. Well, I feel like I talked so long. I love you guys. I love sharing with you. And it's just, you are a joy in my life. And thank you for being out there. I love the diversity of people that show up on my channel. And I love being able to talk to people all around the world so I can get out of my little, cocoon. Well, Greg, you can mentor that. He says, I agree. The younger generation just really doesn't know how to communicate face to face. Well, I can tell you my daughter does. And I work really hard on communication. And I think that it takes a lot of patience for parents to work with their kids. And you're right. Not a lot of parents do that. But you should mentor it. You should mentor it, because the truth is down deep inside, they're hungry for it. All right, you guys, I just love you. Mwah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Are you guys able to see the chat when you rewatch this? Because I want you to be able to see the chat, and I just don't know if you can, because I rarely come back and rewatch these. Does anybody know? Can you see the chat? I hope so. I hope you guys can. And I should tell you, my next video is going to be so interesting. It's just the basics on how to read your birth chart. So I give you steps 1, 2, and 3 on how to read the birth chart. And I use a chart online, and I show you. Oh, Blaze says, yeah, you can read the chat. So everybody turn on the chat. Thank you, Bonus Jen. I'm so grateful. You're very sweet. He says I'm his favorite astrologer. Thank you. I'm like barely dressed over here in my PJs, COVID style, but I didn't care because I just wanted to be here with you guys. I want you to be prepared for this eclipse that's coming up. And I also want to know, how did it go for you? So leave me a comment and let me know how the eclipse went for you, especially if you've got those sensitive placements. And what was I going to say? Oh, my next video on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time is the 3 steps on how to read your own birth chart. And if you need your own birth chart, oh my God, go to my website, soulnavigation.com, and go buy one, because my charts are gorgeous, so easy to read. And then you can have your own when the video comes out. And they're not very much money, and they're worth it. And you'll save it your whole life. You should frame it. Okay, bye, you guys. Bye. Take good care of you. Be safe. Be careful. Bye.